Not all engines are built to last. Some look amazing on day one. Smooth idle, sharp response, big numbers on the brochure. Then, boom! 35,000 miles in and the dream starts leaking, knocking, or lighting up your dash like a pinball machine. This isn't about scaring you, it's about saving you. Today we're going through the first 12 engines that can break your bank and your heart. If reliability matters, if you hate surprise bills, listen close. Here's the truth most ads skip. Power is easy. Longevity is hard. When an engine is crammed with heat, tight tolerances, and fragile parts, it can feel like a miracle at first, and a money trap later. Mechanics see it every week. Owners feel it in their wallets. And the worst part? These engines live in cars people fall in love with. The badge is strong, the test drive is thrilling, the ownership, not so much. Let's break the spell and talk about what really happens after the honeymoon. We begin with a legend for all the wrong reasons. BMW's N63 twin-turbo V8 from the late 2000s and early 2010. On paper, it's a masterpiece. Big torque down low, a rush up top, and that glossy, effortless surge that makes you laugh out loud when you pass. In the driveway, it looks like success. On the lift, it looks like heat damage. The turbos sit in the valley of the V. That's great for response and terrible for everything else. The hot V cooks oil, dries seals, and bakes wiring and plastic. Oil starts to vanish between services. At first you think, no big deal, I'll top off a quart. Then it's 2 quarts, then 3. Valve stem seals harden and leak. Injectors get fussy. Coolant lines sweat. Timing chain guides age fast in that sauna. One by one, the small leaks turn into big bills. An owner's week goes like this. Car runs great, slight smoke after idling, no big deal. The service light says oil low. Again, you add some. A month later, you notice a miss at idle. The shop says it's an injector. You pay. 2 months later, the tailpipes are oily again. Now the tech says valve stem seals. You pay more. Next season, a turbo starts whining. Now you're deep in 5 figures and you haven't even touched the timing set. It's not that the N63 can't be made right, it can. But keeping it right means spending money like you're maintaining a track car, not driving to work. Heat is the villain, and heat never sleeps. If you buy one, budget like a race team and warm it up like a pilot. If you don't, you'll meet your service advisor more than your friends. Now slide over to a diesel that promised muscle and miles, then delivered migraines, the 3.0-liter Isuzu 5.6 used in some Renaults and Saabs. When this engine is happy, it pulls hard and cruises quiet. The problem? It's rarely happy for long in those platforms. The wiring looms age badly and invite electrical gremlins. One day it's a random sensor code, the next day the dash looks like a Christmas tree. The Denso injectors are a weak link, sticky, leaky, or dead, and when they fail, they don't fail cheap. The cooling system is the silent killer. It clogs. When that happens, temps creep up. Overheating an aluminum diesel is like playing Jenga on a train. A warped head, a blown gasket, or a cracked component is never far behind. Here's how the story goes for a lot of owners. They buy the car for the torque and the badge. It feels great. Then, on a hot day in traffic, the temp climbs. They pull over, cool down, limp home. The shop finds a clogged radiator and a coolant passage that looks like it's been drinking mud. You flush it, you replace parts, you pray. A month later, the injectors start to idle rough. The shop talks numbers that sound like a used hatchback. Meanwhile, wiring gremlins keep lighting up random codes that disappear and reappear like ghosts. Even if you keep going, even if you throw money at it, the engine often won't reward you with long, calm years. It wants constant attention. If you skip even one step, it punishes you fast. In the right truck or tuned the right way, this 3.0 V6 can behave. In certain Renault and Saab setups, it too often feels like a ticking clock. Now to a diesel that wears a Toyota badge and still makes this list. The 2.2 DCAT. The numbers look fine, strong power, decent torque. The promise is clean diesel tech, low emissions, and long range. In the real world, it smokes. Not because owners abuse it, but because soot builds up and the DPF gets overwhelmed. When the filter clogs, you get warning lights, limp mode, and forced regens that never seem to stick. Cleaning can help for a while, replacing the DPF helps longer, but the bill hurts. And the headache doesn't end there. The head gasket design can leave deep sealing scars when you pull the head. That means a new head on top of the gasket job, and that means more time and more cash. Picture a family that bought this engine for road trips. They love the space. They love the range. Then a cloud of smoke follows them after a cold start. The light pops on. They take a detour to the dealer instead of their weekend plans. The service advisor says, "We need to regen the DPF. It's better for a week." Then the light returns and now it's, "We need a deeper clean," or "We should talk about replacement." Meanwhile, the car starts to run hot on steep climbs. Pulling the head reveals those seal marks. Suddenly, a basic repair turns into a two-line estimate with a number they didn't plan for. Yes, it's a Toyota. Yes, many Toyota engines are bulletproof. This one? Not on this list, not in this life. Now, let's talk Subaru's 2.0-liter boxer diesel. Subaru waited a long time to make a diesel, and when they did, they stayed loyal to the flat 4 layout. Pros? Low center of gravity and that signature smooth feel. Cons? It revs more than most diesels and asks a lot of its injectors and emissions gear. The soot load builds quick, the DPF needs care, or it punishes you. Owners used to the easy life of a gas Subaru suddenly find themselves thinking about EGR valves, soot levels, and regen cycles. When the injectors start to age, the idle gets lumpy, cold starts get stubborn, and the costs stack. A real-world week with this engine looks like this. Monday commute is fine. Tuesday an orange light flickers. You tell yourself it's nothing. Wednesday the car goes into limp mode right as you merge. You coast to the shoulder, call for help, and learn a new vocabulary that starts with DPF differential pressure and ends with a bill. You keep up with cleaning, but the injectors begin missing. You replace one, then another. The car is good again for a while. Then winter hits, and cold starts turn into long cranks and gray smoke. People who loved their Subaru life start to wonder if they should have stayed with the gas model and skipped the diesel experiment. Here's the bigger point tying these 4 together. Every one of them is seductive for a different reason. The BMW N63 sells you a rush. The Isuzu 3.0 in those Renault setups sells you torque and range. The Toyota 2.2 D-Cat sells you clean tech with a trusted badge. The Subaru 2.0D sells you character and traction with diesel efficiency. The trap is the same: heat, soot, and fragile parts living in conditions they don't handle well for long. And when those parts fail, they don't fail small. Let's go deeper on what failure feels like when you're the one paying. On the N63, valve stem seals don't politely announce themselves. They ghost you at idle. You sit at a light, then floor it, and a blue puff trails behind you. Friends joke that your luxury rocket is vaping. You laugh until the oil light dings again. Then a turbo bearing starts to whine just enough to make you turn down the radio. You ignore it, and one day the whine turns into a scream. That's not a bill. That's a decision. Do you love the car enough to spend like this, or do you cut your losses and sell? Plenty of owners list their cars the week after that call. On the Isuzu 3.0 V6 in those cars, overheating is the cliff. Most modern cars hide temp issues well, right up until they don't. On a summer trip, the gauge creeps. You think, just a few more miles. The light comes on. The car loses power. Now you're watching trucks pass you while your family looks at you like you invited the chaos. A tow truck, a hotel, and a long week later, you learn that the radiator wasn't the only thing clogged. The small passages look sludged. The head isn't sealing anymore. Over $1,000 just to flush and fix basics. More if the head warped. And that's before the injectors chime in with their own drama. On the Toyota 2.2 D-Cat, the DPF becomes your entire relationship with the car. It's like owning a treadmill that judges you. Drive too short, it sulks. Drive too slow, it sulks. It wants highway miles and steady heat to clean itself. City life confuses it. Then the head gasket whisper starts. Slight coolant loss, a sweet smell, a little pressure where it shouldn't be. Your tech says, "We should pull the head." You say yes. They find the sealing surface scored. Now you're paying for a new head. That's the moment people start browsing hybrid SUVs on their phone in the waiting room. On the Subaru 2.0D, the joy of a boxer rumble turns into the chore of keeping soot in line. The injectors don't forgive bad fuel or long stretches without spirited highway runs. Baby it too much and you choke it. Hammer it too much and you stress it. Owners try to thread the needle and sometimes fail anyway. That's not fun driving, that's babysitting. If this feels harsh, remember the goal. It's not to dunk on brands, it's to protect you from traps. Great companies can make engines that miss. Even icons have weak years and weak designs. What matters is knowing which ones ask more than they give, so you can walk away, or walk in with eyes open and a savings plan. Now a quick reality check on fixes you'll hear in forums and from friends. Can the N63 be made better with updated parts, cooler plugs, and proactive maintenance? Yes. Will that change the fact that the turbos and seals live in an oven? No. Can the Isuzu 3.0 V6 in those platforms be kept alive with religious coolant service, upgraded radiators, and perfect injectors? Yes. Will that erase the wiring gremlins and core design stress? Not really. Can the 2.2 D-Cat behave if you do long highway runs and watch soot levels like a hawk? Yes. Will that stop a scarred head surface from turning a small job into a big one? It won't. Can the Subaru 2.0D be happy if you keep the DPF clean and the injectors fresh? Yes. Will it stop being a high-maintenance diesel that doesn't suit short-trip life? No. So what should you do if you already own one of these? Here's the survival kit. Warm the engine fully before any hard throttle. Change oil earlier than the book, especially on turbo engines and all diesels. Use the right spec, not the cheapest jug. For DPF diesels, schedule weekly highway drives to complete a regen. Don't shut the car off mid-regen. For the BMW N63, listen for hissing, whining, and idle smoke. Catch small things before they go big. For the Isuzu 3.0 V6 in those Renaults and Saabs, treat the cooling system like a patient on monitors. If temps creep, stop and sort it. Don't hope. For the 2.2 D-Cat, consider the cost of a proper DPF solution and be honest about your drive cycle. For the Subaru 2.0D, budget for injectors like you, budget for tires. It's not pessimism, it's a plan. And if you're shopping and a car with one of these engines winks at you, test drive with your head, not your heart. Bring a scanner, bring a mechanic. Ask for cold starts and hot restarts. Look for oil residue near turbo oil lines on the N63. Watch coolant temp and pressure behavior on that Isuzu V6. Smell for diesel and soot in odd places on the D-Cat. On the Subaru 2.0D, listen to the injectors and ask for DPF history. A perfect Carfax isn't proof of a healthy engine. A calm idle, a clean tailpipe, and quiet chains tell the real story. Why am I spending so much time on the feel of failure? Because that's how you'll meet it. Not in a white paper, not in a forum post. In a parking lot with your kids in the back and a light on your dash you've never seen before. In a heat wave, 20 miles from your exit, at 6 a.m. when you need the car to start and it cranks like it's tired of you. That's when you'll remember this video and think, right, this engine, this problem, I know what this is. And that knowledge turns panic into a plan. If this helped you dodge a bad buy, subscribe to our channel and help this video reach more people by giving it a like and share. Also, if you own one of these and you've kept it alive, share how. People learn from real stories.